Last week I posted this Kazuha drawing and asked you guys if you would like a tutorial on how I did this kind of shading. And a lot of you said you wanted a tutorial, so I'm here to deliver. I want to start this video by saying this is my own way of doing this sort of lighting whenever I need a shortcut for something fast. Do I think this method replaces your need to actually learn about color theory and will produce similar results to actually studying and becoming good at using colors? Absolutely not. I'm simply going to teach you this method because it's useful to me whenever I need to do dramatic shading without spending too much time. So please do take this with a grain of salt and always use your own critical thinking skills. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and let's jump right into the tutorial. So the first thing you're gonna do is create a new layer and fill it with this purplish grayish tone. I'm using Clip Studio Paint, but this works on any drawing software or app. Next up, you're going to clip this layer to the layer below where you have your character. And it's gonna look like this. Then you're gonna get the purple layer and you're going to set it to multiply. And when it looks like this, you're free to mess around with the hue and saturation. You usually get it by pressing the keys Ctrl and U. Once you're satisfied with the tone, it's time to start erasing. On this drawing specifically, I wanted to erase the edges because I wanted to give the idea of a rim light kind of behind Kazuha. This is what a rim light is, by the way. So I keep erasing and erasing whichever parts I think make sense. There's no formula to make this look right, so just do whatever feels right to you. While I was doing this, I realized I didn't really want the purple layer to be above the line art, so I moved it between the line art and coloring layers. And I got to work again. I kept erasing the bits that made sense to me. And something I would specially recommend is to keep zooming in and out. If you're always looking at your drawing from like super close, you will lose track of what the whole thing looks like. And it becomes really easy to get lost in more and more details that look good up close, but when you zoom out it really doesn't look good and you already spent like an hour working on that. And then you have to decide between throwing away a bunch of hours you spent or keeping them out of pride. It's not very fun, is it? I don't know if you've noticed, but I keep changing the layer mode from multiply to normal. And I do this so that I have a better grasp of which parts I've already erased or not. It really is a matter of workflow, you don't really have to overthink it. Something you should think about though is volumes and shapes. I know my art is very flat and 2D, but I still want there to be some depth perception. Because at the end of the day, if you're doing this sort of rim lighting, there needs to be some sort of tridimensionality. Did I pronounce that right? I've never heard that word pronounced in my life. But yeah, don't be afraid to change the colors, use the hue and saturation filters if you'd like, use the airbrush if you'd like, blur it if you like. There's no rules, just do whatever feels right to you. On these final bits, I was just zooming in a lot, you know, to give those final sneaky details, make it look a little more moody, more 3D. And to be honest with you, I stopped worrying whether or not the lighting made any sense at all. I just wanted it to look good, cause sometimes that's just the only thing you want, you know? I think it's very important to learn the rules before you can break them, but I also think art is above all supposed to be fun. And if it looks good to me and looks good to my client, I'm happy. Once you're done erasing and you're happy with the result, it's time for phase 2. You're gonna want to lock the purple layer. Locking it means whatever you draw will not get out of the layer's edges. And you're gonna get an orange, whichever orange looks good. And you're going to carefully airbrush the edges that you erased. Once again, this doesn't have to look perfect. The idea is to make the parts you erased kinda glow. And this might sound silly, but the reason why I use orange is because when I think of the sun, I think of like yellow. And because yellow and orange contrast so much with purple, I think it gives it a lot of warmth. I don't really know that much about color theory. But yeah, be patient with this part, erase as needed. I ended up adding some pink to the orange. As long as it looks good and you like it. You can make the layer mode normal again, multiply again. I just vibed here, to be honest, and I used a lot of hue and saturation again. And for this final part, I chose the same blue as Kazuha's katana, and I did the exact opposite I had done with the orange. So instead of using it on the edges, I used it on the opposite side. And once I was satisfied, I decided to play a little bit with the line art. To color my line art, I create a new layer above and I clip it. It's the same idea of what we did with the purple layer at the start of the video. Then I go to the bits I erased and make the lines lighter. It's a very simple trick, but I think it makes so much difference. And now once we're satisfied with the lines, it's time for the final step. This is optional, but I go on to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And I like blurring it just a little bit. And yeah, I do some final adjustments and that's pretty much it. For those final adjustments, I get a big airbrush. I create a new layer on top of everything. Don't forget the layer clip. And using the same color as the background, I very lightly make the character blend in with the background. I feel like this gives the drawing a lot more mood. And that's it. There's not really much I do after this. So yeah, here you can see a before and after on the Kazuha. Here's also a side-by-side comparison after I do all my effects on Photoshop and stuff like that. And yeah, if you do try this method, make sure you let me know. I would love to see it. Thank you all so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, you know, all those things that really help out. Thank you as well for all of your beautiful fan arts, and I'll see you next time, okay? Bye bye!